As I've shared before on this channel, I am coming after your millions of years because they just do not exist. And part of this channel is to remove the ignorance involved in what academia is shoving down all of our throats, especially through the media, definitely through the universities that did not teach the false theories of Darwinian transspeciation evolutionism. But as it were, indoctrinational grooming through the media is bent on shoehorning this theory into our minds. Once you catch on to their MO, you will never unsee it. You will forever see how they do this. I'm going to take one of these articles. I do this every now and then. Just grab one. They're not even fun to read anymore because they're predictable. But you can take any one of these articles that they put under the category of science, and it doesn't take much to break them down to see what their content actually consists of. And 10 times out of 10, it's nothing. A gigantic, big, fat nothing. So for this video, I'm going to give you an example of what I hit at in my previous upload. And that is the concept that people, as long as it has the heading of science, buy it, anywhere near it or buy it, people will believe it. Without even reading an article, people will read a headline and say, oh, they cracked the code, they figured it out. Well, just one of those such articles right in front of me here. The CNN, the Communist News Network, so we get an understanding here. Of course, they're going to be biased. Their article here says, fish lizard fossils found in Swiss Alps. Belong to some of the largest creatures there. Now, this is manifold, and this is a little bit more loaded than most people are going to even catch. So if you take some time with me, just a little bit, I'm going to show you. This can become a skill for you. You can take any one of these articles. If you just start breaking down, the individual components and start defining terms, you can actually see what the article is actually based on, and you're able to see around what they would rather just have you believe instead of what is actually true and known. So let's break down this article a little bit. So right in the heading itself, it is already fully loaded. So number one, they're telling us it's a half lizard, half fish. Now, of course, CNN well, we didn't say it's half lizard, half fish. Oh, come on. There's no other way to read around that. I mean, it's right there in print. You guys are saying it's got fish qualities and lizard qualities. You're calling it part fish, part lizard. Let's be intellectually honest there. Number two, look where they found this. The Swiss Alps are mountains. Why are they finding these marine fossils up in the mountains? Well, if you follow on this channel, you're gonna see that there was this flood. You see, there was a flood. So did these fish lizards sprout legs and climb up the mountain? I don't know. Let's read the article. Let's see what it says. The fossils of giant extinct marine reptiles have been found in an unlikely place. Now let's stop right there. Ooparts are out-of-place artifacts. Right off the bat there, they got an oopart on their hands. That fossil of this extinct marine reptile is in a place that they're saying it should not be. That's what an oopart is, an out-of-place artifact. Now, CNN is saying that it's unlikely to be there, but that's because of their worldview. Now, an actual scientific worldview, even secular people are fully acknowledging this at this point, that there was this flood. So CNN is trying to address this issue of evolutionism when in actuality they're also revealing the flood that buttoned up this entire world and formed most of the fossils that we are familiar with today, especially the dinosaurs. So the article goes on to say the fossils belong to 3 ichthyosaurs. Now, when I first saw this article, I got a little bit excited because I want to know what they're finding these days. Now, unfortunately for them, I'm already familiar with the ichthyosaur, so I was rather disappointed. It's a reptile. It's a swimming reptile. But the article, it's there to read for yourself. They keep on keeping on. They've already acknowledged that it's a ichthyosaur, but the article goes on to say, these fish lizards first appeared in the ocean about 250 million years ago, looking a bit like dolphins with elongated bodies and small heads. They emerged after the Permian mass extinction wiped out more than 95% of marine species, and we'll stop right there because there is also another inference right there of the flood event that wiped out pretty much everything. The article goes on. But by 200 million years ago, the giant ichthyosaurs were extinct and only the smaller, more dolphin-like ones lived until 90 million years ago. So, and we see this in the fossil record. They're not going to word it this way, but I'm going to do it for them since they're too chicken to do it for you. Basically what happened is these ichthyosaurs, following the flood, and it's all throughout the fossil record, everything shrank. Everything. Anything that you can find in the fossil record, if it's not extinct today, it's still alive, and it looks identical. Pretty much identical. In this case, they're calling these more dolphin-like ones, but pretty much everything in your fossil record is going to be identical to what you see today. And I'm not surprised if they look slightly different because it's the difference between brown hair and blue eyes, etc. It's just variation within a kind of an animal. So to break this down plain and simple for you, there are no fish lizards. It's an ichthyosaur. It's an aquatic reptile. Number 2, they found these guys up in the Swiss Alps. That's because there was this flood, you see. Swiss Alps are not the only ones with only mountains with sea fossils on them. Mount Everest has seashells on top of it. So that flood water got way up there, settled long enough for seashells to settle and all that kind of stuff, leave fossils. And it's all over the world. I mean, academia doesn't want you to know that. They want you to think it's unlikely to find sea fossils up there, when the fact is, on the Giza Plateau, you got whale fossils and sea fossils of all kinds. They won't tell you that. For this, they are willingly ignorant of that by the word of God, the heavens were of old, and the earth, standing out of the water and in the water, whereby the world that then was, being overflowed with water, perished. But the heavens and the earth, which are now, by the same word, are kept in store, reserved unto fire against the day of judgment, and perdition of ungodly men.